Second hour. We're going to be joined in just a moment by Blake Lucca. He's one of the hosts of Wolfman's Entertainment and Activism on the Right Stuff, the Right Stuff.biz. Yeah, he's one of Enix dudes. But yeah,
hey Blake, we got you.
Hey guys,
what's up?
What's up, dude?
What's going on, man? How did your situation go today? Your meeting?
It was 10 minutes and it was done, so I'm scared.
Nice. You didn't start like just jumping right into the JQ stuff at your job interview, did you? It's usually bad.
Well, that's the first thing I always do, and I see their reaction, and then I start complaining about black people.
Okay, good. Now I want to give you a little bit of advice. I've had a lot of jobs in my life. I've nailed a lot of interviews. Never open with that.
Yeah, it's probably not great.
Just save it for put it in the middle and sandwich it in between two more upbeat topics, and then maybe.
Well, normally I would start off with "There Goes the Neighborhood," but I just felt there was too many the Afro-descendant people to be there to start with that one.
That's probably the best thing. So, so tell us about your show. How long have you been doing it, man?
How long have I been doing it? I think I started it in like August, early August, late July. Okay. So it's not very old at all. The show's about activism and entertainment. I study and I talk about music. I talk about books. I talk about history. I'm trying to build a culture around nationalism, whether it be more of the milquetoast civic nationalism or, 1488, all that jazz before I get you banned on YouTube.
Well, no, it's okay. No,
as long as you don't start fucking dropping K-bombs rapid fire like
by the way,
right.
It's not really going to be a great way to unite people when you call civic nationalism milquetoast. Hey, if this is no wonder they're not going to hire you if that's how you start things.
No.
Yeah.
To his defense,
yeah.
He did say, I'll give him credit for saying milquetoast nationalism, civic nationalism, as opposed to alt Lite cucks. Because if I hear that one more time, I'm gonna scream. At least he said it in his own fucking way. He didn't go, all right, cucks, cuckity cuck. But yes. So what is your feeling about that? Now, you did say milquetoast, so you do. You're probably the most hard right of our friends in the.
Well, here's my feelings on it. Like, it doesn't matter if America becomes 90% white and turns to more of a constitutionalist thing. So I guess you could say I'm borderline civic. I just, I enjoy my Northwestern European roots. And I would kind of like it to be sort of returned to many aspects of that.
Yeah, okay, but here's a question I have for you. Just a real quick question. I hear what you're saying. I really do. What about me, though? I'm Cuban. Everyone from my family literally came from Cuba. Like, everybody. I mean, both sides. So it's not even like, I'm kind of Cuban. Like, I'm really Cuban.
Yeah, they're really Cuban people.
So what about me? I mean, I'm a conservative. I'm going to probably vote like you want. Like, probably pretty close to what you're going to vote like. I mean, unless, you're going to vote for Roy Moore. But, so what do you say to people like me?
It's like America has always been like 85% white, 80 to 90% white. Anything else other than that, as long as the minority population doesn't create, I think it's like 15% of the population, stability is normally maintained.
So you just want a race? You want a good quota? Is that we're gonna count?
Well, then you're gonna hate South Florida, dude.
Are we gonna have to count our beaners now?
Yeah, you're gonna hate South Florida. You're gonna hate Orlando. The thing is with that is like this is where I get lost with stuff like that because I would rather have a bunch of. I don't really fucking care about heritage. Who gives a shit? Like, it's where you're fucking. Would happen to be where your dad dumped a load on your mom. Like, people, in my opinion, make this race thing out to be like, well, my European roots. Shut the fuck up. You're not a Viking now. Like, not you. I'm not talking to you, Blake. I'm saying, in general. You're not a Viking now. Like, oh, you want to go back to raping and pillaging and wearing horn hats, which they didn't actually wear horn hats.
That does sound pretty cool.
No, I get it. I get it. But my point is like I would rather have a bunch of different people agree with basic, conservative values and stuff like that than putting statistics on how many white people. The problem is keeping that number up is the only way you could keep that number up is if you tell fucking white dudes that like thick chicks not to go out with them. It's not going to happen. Like
from experience, I'll tell you, it's not going to happen.
There's always been a minority population. As for like soft admixture, I mean, you can't really fight it a whole lot. It's the simple amount of how many people are here that way.
But
if that makes sense.
Now, I understand. I know about the 1790, Naturalization Act and all that stuff. Now, they tried to keep it predominantly white and all that stuff. But other than we had a connection to Europe when we first got here. We were a colony. We rebelled. We created our own thing. Where does this idea that the identity of America is inherently white? Because I grew up on Long Island. I grew up in New York. I always found people, for instance, like Guidos that got the blowout haircuts. They're all Jersey Shore, and they had like their fucking Italian flag T-shirts, and they'd be like, "Yeah, bro, I'm Italian," and I'd be like, "If you went to Sicily, you'd be a fucking joke. You'd be clown shoes. They would mock you.
Well, okay.
Our identity is inherently American. I don't think it's like I'm not Irish. I can't go to fucking Ireland now and be like, oh, back on, let's have a drink, eh? They'd go get the out.
No, and like you know what? And I'm Cuban. I'm Cuban. I say I'm Cuban, but that's a good point. I'm American. If I'm second generation Cuban, if I go to Cuba now, they'd be like, who's this fucking pendejo? Get the fuck out of here.
Or even worse, some college kid with a Chase shirt walking around, not even realizing
how stupid he is.
He killed my grandmother. I will kill this person.
And it's that's what it's like. I get what you're saying, but it's the same. This is my point, and this is the only thing I say. Like the same argument that everybody, and rightfully so in many cases, but a lot of people are like, and especially in the right, and I agree with them in many cases. It's like, oh my God, slavery was 100 years ago. Get over it. You know what I mean? And I get that. But then again, it's like, yeah, okay, we're European descendants. We're like fucking 200 years ago. Get over it. Like, my point is I'm using the same argument, which makes sense. It's like, who cares? Like, all I care is that I have an iPhone and the people around me aren't trying to rape and kill me. I don't care what fucking nationality they are. You know what I mean? Like, I
think you're atomizing too much. People are naturally collective, with the Orientals being more so, and white people and Hispanic people get along together is because the Hispanics are partially Western.
Here we go.
The reason that Europeans are having such a gigantic whiplash to Arabs is because they're a different culture along with being a massively different ethnicity. Well, I mean, in many patriot movements, there's a lot of Hispanics. I'll fully admit that. And
we just interviewed one yesterday, Johnny Benitez. I mean, I understand, and that's my point. It's like it's really, really hard to say things like, for me anyway, it's like, oh, we want just to be 85%. It's like, no, once you start talking percentages of you start talking, it sounds like eugenics, and it's really kind of weird area for me. My thing is like, I don't care how a conservative that I like wins. I don't care if he wins because Cubans go out and vote for him. And look, put it to you this way, man. I mean, the last thing Obama did when he left office was go, oh, by the way, dry land policy for Cubans, fucking out of here, after he criticized Trump for his immigration policy, because Cubans do tend to be conservative. They are. I mean, statistically, they are. And it's because
it was only early Cubans that were.
Well, not necessarily. You'd be surprised. I mean, there's some, but any Cuban that came from Cuba, from Cuba or close from Cuba, they always tend to be conservative because it's really hard to sell socialism to a Cuban because that ruined the country, and they lived it. So I think that's why. And even second generation, like, I'm conservative. I'm not from Cuba, but it's because I listen to the stories my grandfather said. And Cubans are a tight-knit family. It's not like a lot of single dads. All that stuff matters. So, we listen to people older than us. And I heard all the shit that went on in there. And, shit's still going on in there. So, that's why when you hear that, it's like, dude, you don't want to. I mean, how many conservatives in the fucking Senate? Cruz, fucking Rubio. There's a lot more of that than you see. I
don't find Rubio all that conservative. I'll be straight up.
I understand. Here. I'm using the term. I'm using the term as Republican. I meant to say as Republican.
Fuck Rubio. Invictus for Senate.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're Invictus guys. Don't get us wrong. And he married a Spanish chick, so I'm fine with Invictus.
But yeah, that's. I mean, Blake. I get the. I don't know. I guess the reason.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone is just part of like a building block, but there's certain, not one size fits all, and that's one thing that America. A lot of Americans are trying to make it that way, but it's just not how things work.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but when you start hearing percentages, it kind of sounds like the alt-right Bernie Sanders, the 85% of the 70% of European nationalists. I'm like, come on, who cares? Like, I'm always a who cares guy. Like, I don't like. To me, the problem is that I've met too many based black guys and too many you know what I mean? Like, there's too much variety that I've met. Don't get me wrong. I get statistics and I get gun crimes and I understand all that stuff. I really do. And we make fun of it all the time. But to me, it's also like when you boil down people to that, we're kind of doing the same thing that we complain that the left does. Where we're boiling everybody down to, they boil everyone down to a Nazi or everyone's a fucking misogynist. And it's like, it's kind of like, I don't want to become them. And that's what scares me when I hear things like that.
Okay, yeah, I understand. In fact, most nationalists are rather centrist rather than right-wing or left-wing. There's a mixture of both ideologies. While I would consider myself actually like more of a libertarian. I consider myself a racist douchebag, if you want my precise.
But that's
precise political thing.
That to me is fair, though. See, what I have a problem in this country, and what is happening now, is I don't agree. I'm not a racist person. I don't agree with most racist beliefs. However, I also don't believe in forced diversity. I don't believe in affirmative action. I don't believe in quotas. I don't believe in letting mass amounts of immigrants in.
I agree with that.
All that kind of shit I'm not down with. But I also very much agree that somebody has a right to be racist. Like, that's what's killing me in this country.
I get that. I agree.
We're doxing and like trying to burn people's houses down. As opposed to back in the day, you'd be like, oh, yeah, that's just old man so-and-so. He's just a fucking racist asshole. Don't listen to him. So-and-so. You know what I mean? But now it's like this. We need to assault them every time you see them and make sure they can't have a job. And you're like, well, I mean, he's allowed to be racist.
They're making it where they can't take care of their families or anything else. So giving them no hope, it's like backing a dog into a corner.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's the thing. And then you want to, look. We don't need any more Dylan Roof situations. As long as you're not engaging in Dylan Roof nationalism.
By the way,
I'm okay with it.
By the way, I'm gonna say this again. I agree with a lot of the things you said. I hate forced integration. I believe that we should have a really tight merit-based immigration for this country. I really believe all those things. So it's not like I agree with a lot of the core things that are that. My thing is that I don't want to put numbers on things. I don't like people like, and you're right. Maybe there's a lot of centrist views, but then that leads to like a lot of social nationalism.
Well, let's be real too. I mean, not to sound racist myself, but if we just eliminated all the quotas and we made it a meritocracy, I have a feeling old Blake's ratios would be holding up. You know what I mean? Just to be fair here, we'd be importing a lot more German engineers and doctors and British engineers. And it's not like we're going to be, it's not like Uganda's going to be like, well, we just sent over a boatload of surgeons.
Well, another big thing is a lot of these African and Hispanic countries are suffering brain drain, like to massive scales because they're all coming to America. And one big thing that I'm sure we both can agree on is how, like, Indians and a lot of Orientals will come over here and on immigrant business programs, and they'll change their names or they'll go to a Commonwealth nation and sell it to their brothers. So their business is perpetually left in their family, and they never get off of the governmental assistance for businesses.
Wow. That's pretty slick.
That's a really big issue around here because in the Midwest, they like to buy up gas stations. And I know there's one Indian who's basically lived off of governmental welfare in this sense, and he owns 27 different gas stations.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and I'm with you, and I think we should end welfare programs like that. But to me, it has nothing to do with whether they're Indian or not. I'm for slashing all that shit. Like, so for me, it's like I'm more of a fucking slash all that thing because I don't want them to have it, and I also don't want some fucking white hillbilly with 78 kids. That's my point. It's like I want all that shit cut. So I agree with you there,
and I agree with cutting all that stuff too because everybody always says like, well, if we cut all these programs, how will people eat? And it's, you know, I've been on my own before, and I've seen other people that are out like literally living day to day, broke on their own, no parents or anybody to help them, and they survive. If you take away somebody's welfare or something like that, it's not like they're just going to sit there, wither away, and die. They adapt. They find a job. They find a way to. They go fucking hunt scrap metal and they cash that shit in. Put in a few hours of work.
I've been in that position before.
Yeah, and I'm sure, I'm sure you stole a few shopping carts, sold them for scrap, and got yourself a McDouble. But I'm sure you didn't stand on a line and go, "Where's my freak? Give me that."
Right.
Not that level, but I've definitely scrapped before. But yeah, I talked with the Red Elephant guy, Vince, and he proposed that if, as you said, the ratios, you want them a little bit more my way, you cut a lot of these welfare programs. I mean, even it destroyed the black family. It's destroying the white family because the state's the daddy.
That I agree with. Yeah, no, and that's why I think the alt right and us alt Lite cucks, as people like to call us, get along so well because we agree on certain things, which is that welfare destroys the family. You know, the government education destroys, you know, pretty much intelligence. There's so many things that destroy and degrade traditional family structure and the individual itself, that it's like we can get along on certain things because it's like, look, you can say, oh, you're racist, you want these no, I just want to slash these programs and let the strong, you know, out survive the weak. Because some of us will still figure
before
out.
All these welfare programs, like 30% of immigrants went back. Like those were Europeans. So, like most people who went to America didn't stay in America, and the whole time it's been a colonial or a nation.
Yeah, I get it, but my thing is that I hear what you're saying. I really do, but I've been through really shitty black neighborhoods, and I've been through some really shitty trailer parks, and honestly, the only difference I really see is the fucking melanin in their skin and the gun violence. I would also give you that. Yes.
I'm pretty ghetto guy. I've lived in all kinds of hood ass areas, from trailer parks all the way to the ghetto. I'm slightly more scared than the black ghettos. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's why I said gun violence.
But that's a tribal. That's again going back to his point. There are tribal things about people.
You don't have to worry about the ghetto in Tampa anymore because we're releasing Kevin Spacey. Remember, he's taking them all out. This is true. We already have our fucking 5-point plan. All right, it's gonna happen.
I'm just saying, if you offered a couple of people in like real project housing, like black ghettos, a chance to live in a trailer park, they'd snatch it up in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
it's still bad, but it ain't that bad.
I've lived in a trailer park one time with me and my ex-wife, and while I was in high school, which was down the road from it, there was 4 meth fires. So I've seen scummy-ass white people, don't get me wrong.
They do exist. So what are you promoting right now?
Yeah, what do you want to plug?
What do I want to plug? Obviously my show on TRS, Identity Dixie, and Radio Werewolf, most of all, because, you know, my homie Dion produces my show. I sell T-shirts. I'm sure you can put those in the link for me when the show actually comes out.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Right?
Yeah, no, we'll do that. It's no problem.
And then
but you also can look up Wolfman's Activism on Teespring, I think, and it'll pull up his whole store.
Okay.
Just trying to help people out that are only listening.
I have to ask a question, and since you base things on looks, I have to ask a question. Do you or have you ever liked Linkin Park?
Have I ever liked Linkin Park? When I was like 13, I felt like being that edgy white kid.
How old are you? By the way, I meant to ask you, how old are you now?
23.
Okay, you're young. I was going to say you look like a Limp Bizkit fan, but you're too young to be that. All right, no, that's cool. I was just curious.
First off, you said Linkin Park. For a Limp Bizkit fan, I am.
I knew it.
Homie.
But you were young. No, but 23-year-old though.
Yeah, but
you're
young
to be a
matter.
Limp Bizkit
Chocolate
fan.
Starfish and a hot dog flavored water.
I get
it. It's a timeless album.
It is.
It's a masterpiece.
Sir Fred Durst.
Yes.
Hey, man, Blake.
It's a very epic album.
Thanks for being on, dude. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. You want to? It's also at Blake_Lucca on Twitter. If you guys want to follow him. Again, thank you so much for
Later,
coming
dude.
on, man.
Appreciate it.
Hell yeah, make me internet famous.
We will do our very best, but we got to do it first.
Yeah, we're still trying to
We're
do
trying.
it.
Later.
Dude, I like
And that was
Blake.
Blake. Yeah, he was. No, I will say this. Unlike Hank Yu, I can have a fucking reasonable conversation. He's not trying to dress up in a Confederate outfit while I'm talking to him.
And I'll honestly, I will even go so far as to say that I looked at Blake Lucca's store and I looked at some of the shirts and stuff. He actually has some really sharp stuff, but I can't wear it because it's really Nazi. Like it's not like there's no obvious symbolism, but it's his imagery and his vibe. It's one of those shirts that would get me if I'm living in Florida. I would get killed.